What do you guys think about exhibition matches for boxing? This whole new celebrity era we're in has got about another 18 months in it before it runs its course. We're going to have to put up with this for as many as 5 more shows and as many as another year and a half to 2 years, right? It's not sustainable, but it is right now. And Dana brought this up last night. Dana brought this up and said, these guys have found a loophole within the rules to allow exhibition matches, which means 2 guys that don't belong in there can go in there. What do you think of that? I never looked at it as a loophole before. I personally, as a promoter, would not touch that. I would never put one on. Only because, for me, you are walking a very fine line to fraud. If you're doing an exhibition match and you put out one piece of marketing material that calls it a fight, and I can tell you, at least in Oregon, if you sell a ticket to something and that ticket doesn't exist, somebody's going to jail. So if I come out as a promoter and says this is a fight, when in fact it's not, it's an exhibition. And these aren't just words you have fun with in marketing. These are legal terms under a statute set forth by the Attorney General and signed by the governor. There is a very specific meaning to what a fight is. Very specific meaning to what a professional fight is. Very specific definition to what an amateur fight is, and a very separate explanation of what an exhibition is. I just would never touch it. I don't know a ton about them. I will tell you, as a fan, I despise them. I despise them because I don't know what I'm being told. The first exhibition boxing match we had of any degree was Floyd Mayweather against a kickboxer in Japan a couple of years ago. Now, they don't have a commission over there. That was the marketing department that called it an exhibition. There was confusion, at least within the minds of North American fans. And the promoter at the 11th hour had to come out screaming from a bullhorn, misunderstanding. Exhibition over here means special event. Now, the word that he was looking for, that his consultants should be sued for not telling him, was extravaganza. This is an extravaganza. Instead, he had the E in there and called it an exhibition. So North American fans, we didn't know if we were getting a contest. We don't pay unless we can get a fair adjudication. We don't. Otherwise, every top gym in the world would have cameras in it and a live stream. And you would watch every day guys spar. That's just not what we do here. And it's very important by law that whatever you tell the audience they're going to get, they get. That's why I don't like exhibitions. So they corrected that in Japan, but then they came over to America and they started doing the same thing. They did not do the same thing because they also misused a marketing term. They are using a legal term for the jurisdiction they're in, which will call it an exhibition. I've never seen it as a loophole, but I don't like for an adult to be told he can't do what he wants to do when it's legal by a government agency. Whether guys should be boxing or not. Is boxing legal? Yes or no? It is legal? Great. Is he an adult? Great. Government? Don't tell him he can't do it. So they found a way. They found a way to participate, and it was never meant to be a main event. No commission that has exhibition within their clause ever meant for it to be the headlining act. And I think that's what Dana's speaking to. It is being misused. All laws will be misused. In all fairness, they will. You can find loopholes and ways to get things done, and this is the one that they're doing with the exhibition business. So what do? I wouldn't touch it. I don't want every poster to say exhibition on it because I think it confuses people. I don't think it's helpful. You would have the exact problem of the reason Floyd has never been invited back to Japan. He goes out there and wins, looks great doing it. Of course you're going to come back. Well, no, not if you lost $8 million for the company because nobody bought your fight. That's exactly what happened with Floyd. And the reason we didn't buy it is it was called an exhibition. The reason for that was misspeaking. They actually did fight. We didn't buy it because it was called an exhibition. So it's one of these things where you've got to defend the commissions that allow exhibitions, because the intent of those commissions was to allow people to do what they love and not restrict their ability to do it, knowing that could only go so far. And when it can only go so far, the likelihood of it being gamed on or the likelihood of it being corrupted all the way down to the misjob in the matchmaking is very unlikely. Accidentally, and as a byproduct of this new entertainment celebrity boxing, do you call it boxing? Whatever they're doing right now, being put at the top of the bill opens the door to Dana's point, which is putting on guys that have big names and beautiful resumes who don't belong in there anymore. Did you guys see that Riddick Bowe just got pulled? I spoke to you about Riddick Bowe a couple of weeks ago. I told you I'm very fond of Riddick Bowe. He did some training 2 hours from my house back in his prime, back in his heyday, and he was nice to me on Twitter one time. Okay, that's all I got. I never met him. He was nice to me on Twitter, so I like Riddick Bowe. And Riddick Bowe was supposed to box, that crack addict. Supposed to box this tall crack, the drug. This is what this guy's famous for. Odom is his name. Odom's never boxed. That's a tremendous mismatch, but then some footage came out of Riddick Bowe. And all Riddick Bowe was doing was shadow boxing. It was extremely labored. The movements were shocking. Disappointing, and perhaps even irresponsible to put him in the ring. Hard to say all of those things because I can't imagine Cracky's shadow boxing is any better than an aging world champion named Riddick Bowe. I can't imagine that, but Cracky's video didn't come out on the internet. Riddick's did, and they've now replaced it. Cracky's fighting somebody else. So that there is some legs to this, and people are starting to open their eyes. And every now and then a mistake has to be made to correct things moving forward. Tyson and Jones was supposed to be that mistake, but it wasn't. They look pretty good. So now the door's wide open, and even to the other boxers, they're starting to come back. People are starting to speak up. Buster Douglas wanting to come back, by example. That's what got Evander back. It's what got Oscar off the couch and off the bar stool. But then the Evander debacle happened. So it's one of these things where I think it's a little unclear right now. I think we do need a little bit more time. I will tell you, within the athletic commissions, an exhibition was never meant or intended or even speculated to be the feature match. It might be something you have to go back and look at. But also, please consider what I'm saying. If you decide it's legal, and you have an adult, I feel I should be able to stop right there. Do you think an adult doing illegal activity should be told no by the government? You see where it becomes a problem? And it does become a problem. And you do not get a single sports out. People always think that you can. You cannot. If it's good for swimmers, it's good for boxers. If it's good for boxers, it's good for gymnasts. If it's good for basketball, it's good for the combat. Right there. They're all sport and they're all deemed legal. I realize only one, combat, is overseen by the government. But I think you also see where it's a problem. If they were to step in and tell somebody willful of age doing something legal, you can't.